Yeah, baby. Good to see you. Welcome to the Sixers Talk podcast brought to you by Wilmington University. Danny Pommells and Ben Berry coming to you live from Rivers Casino here on Delaware Avenue. How you feeling, sir?
What a time to be alive. Merry Christmas. Happy holiday season. You, Tom Finer, producer over there in the wings.
Yes.
Shout out to Noah. Hope you're feeling better. I'm happy to be here, man.
Yeah, got to be happy to be here. It is December 1st, and the spirit, the holiday feeling is in the air, and I really blame this Phillies run for like making so much of this winter fall just like truncate together because it just feels like it's on me like so quickly. But the decorations are up at the crib, the tree is up, all the vibe is going
So
at the
you on
house.
top of it.
Hey, my wife don't play, bro.
I'm not.
My wife don't
My
play.
fake tree still in the trunk.
Well, you can just come on, connect the dots on that.
It's
Get
a lot of work,
get
man.
the letters.
A lot of work. Speaking of, Christmas mood, holiday season, giving out presents and all. Man, the Sixers are giving up a lot of easy buckets
they
last
giving
night.
up buckets. They giving up assists, 3-pointers, any and everything, defensive stops because it was UGLY last night in Cleveland. Um, I mean, Cleveland coming out with their full arsenal. They've been playing great basketball. Donovan Mitchell has been crazy. And while it wasn't an individual performance on the Cavs that really stood out to you, like, wow, it was just more of an onslaught of their team. Bro, they shot 73% from the floor in the first half. And if you thought they would cool off in the second half, that didn't happen. The Sixers never made a run, and they got beat up in Cleveland. Started a 3-game road trip.
It was an ugly performance. The Cavs, props to them. They played well. They shot the ball fantastic, as you said. And there's not much you can do when they're just hitting shots, contested, open. Um, but they did make a mockery of the Sixers' transition defense, which had improved. It was a conversation last year that you had, Noah had, Amy Fadul, the post-game crew. We all had this conversation. And as the season went on, beginning of the season was rough. Their defense got better. It was in our last podcast. We talked about how much better it got and how people were contributing on the defense end of the ball. Man, the Cavs straight punted that out the door and said, that's over.
Well, the best thing they've been doing is alternating between the zone when they need to because their best defense is keeping Joel anchored to the basket rather than switching, with whoever comes to set a screen or what have you. So keeping Joel anchored to the basket, I mean, none of that mattered last night. The Cavs just had their number, and maybe they're a little bit tired. People are, out. Their rotation isn't what it used to be, and hopefully they'll continue to get healthy and improve, and guys will return to the lineup, and you'll see some of that consistency that they had because, I mean, as good as Milton and Melton had been for the Sixers, and Tobias Harris for that matter, he ends up going 0 for 7, leaves the game with the illness, and doesn't even come back. So it was that kind of night, man. I mean, sometimes the other team is just not your night. The other team is just better, and that was the case.
It was the case. And B, you said he's the defensive anchor. He does a lot on both sides of the ball. He didn't really get it going on offense as much as I would like, but Cleveland, they did a great job of packing the paint and just making Embiid work for everything, and it really showed.
I thought there was a moment there where he was going to get it going when he got that technical because he thought he got fouled going to the basket, and then it was like angry Embiid showed up and he had that dunk where he like put Jared Allen or whoever was out there in the rim. And I thought that was like momentum, and then he had another quick basket after that, but it didn't turn into anything. But we soldier on, and a 3-game road trip.
I have two positives from last night.
What was that?
B-Ball Paul played decently well. I think fans will be excited about that. PJ Tucker hit a 3.
He did. I think he had 2.
He had 2?
Yeah.
It's been a long time. I feel like last time he made one, I mean, it was long. I don't know if he was on the team.
It might have been Halloween, I think. Actually, it was probably Halloween
he was in
when
the
that
Heat
actually
jersey.
happened. We want to remind you, if you want to build your career skills in 2023, apply to Wilmington University today and get started by January 9th. Learn more and apply at wilmu.edu. Upskill, reskill, or start fresh in 2023 with a degree or certificate from Wilmington University. WilMU works for you. Apply today to start January 9th. So as we continue on talking about the Sixers, it was that kind of night, but the cavalry is on the way, right? James Harden, Tyrese Maxey is the guy who you're hoping can get on the mend as well soon. But James Harden, that right foot strain is improving. He told us last week that he was on pace to come back, and by that, Monday is the ideal time, or the time he is thought to be able to be back on the court. And ironically, it's in Houston, a place where he had so much success and prowess. And I'm sure the fans will the fans be happy to see him in Houston? Do you think?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Absolutely. What was the
He-
last time a
he-
player kind of forced their way out of a situation and the fans were happy they returned?
But they haven't been as good before he was
And
there in a long, long time. So
what's your point? What's your point?
Your
Yo,
face- your
LeBron
face is
James won
hilarious.
Cleveland a championship.
They
Oh,
were
well,
burnt.
before he won them a championship, the Cavs were a good team. He went to Miami, and you
They
would
were-
have thought that he's always been their arch enemy.
People burning Harden's jersey?
I'm not
Yeah.
saying they'll do
Oh,
all
okay.
that, but not what have you done? What have you done for me lately?
Right.
Last time they saw him, he was leaving.
What can he do for the
fantasy.
Sixers? Do you feel like Harden's return brings back the level of play that the Sixers need to get back on their winning streak? They had won 7 of 9 before last night's loss.
So, as we all know, James Harden is an elite offensive player.
Yeah.
Is he the MVP caliber player he was in Houston? Probably not. We will all say no. But he adds some offensive firepower that the Sixers need, and probably could have helped out a little last night. However, the Sixers defense has just been climbing up over the past several weeks, and it's been phenomenal to watch.
Are you saying James don't play no D?
I'm not saying that, but our eyes don't lie. I mean, I don't know to tell you. So he will have to put a consistent effort to hold up his end of the bargain when he's out there on the floor. Not asking him to shut anyone down.
Right.
Just hustle, be active hands, and not fall asleep like he has done at times. I think that would be key to watch out for.
I think that Houston should be a winnable game for them. They should be able to take care of business against them. I think the thing that will tell the tale of just how much of a funk this team is in after that Cavs loss is what they do against Memphis. Because if they go to Memphis and it's another one of those type of games, then Houston might be a tough road trip for them to finish on the high side of.
So that is all very true, and Memphis looked really good. Ja Morant, he spends too much time on Twitter. I think he probably went after that ref after he got ejected the other night. But I'm a Ja fan. Instead of bringing James back against the Rockets, who isn't one of the better teams in the league,
Wait till you get home.
Wait till you get home. A couple extra days rest. It'll be against a Lakers team that isn't making the play in. That's not going to do much. Bring them back against the Lakers. Bring them back home.
That does seem like a viable option. I'm sure James himself had a lot of input into when he was coming back, and he looked at that Houston game as like, oh well, I can, get back to one of my old stomping grounds, a place I'm familiar with, and get off a little bit. So I'm fine either way. I'm more or less projecting toward the team being fully healthy so that we can start seeing what they really are. We talked about it on the last podcast, a quarter of the way through the season. I mean, last night even was a playoff matchup. That was a possible opponent that they can face in the postseason. And Cleveland is going to be a tough out, bro. They're going to be a tough out. And if you're looking at the pecking order of the Eastern Conference, it's definitely like Boston and Milwaukee at the very top. And we'll get more into how the Eastern Conference is shaking out. But those teams in the middle, the Sixers, the Cavs, the Heat, well, maybe one day, but
Maybe one day.
The Pacers are surprising. Tyrese Halliburton and them are playing well, but we're only like 21 games in, 20 or so games in, so it's not really indicative of how things will end up, but it does give you a little glimpse into where the Sixers are right now. Can they be as good as the Bucks and Celtics on some nights? But more consistently, I think what they are right now is going to be in that 3 through 7 range.
So I would agree with that. And again, quarter of the way through the season, at this point, it's not a small sample size. It's quarter way through the season. That's a lot of data. Yes, the Sixers haven't been healthy for a lot of that, but we've seen enough of Embiid play. We've seen when Maxey and Harden are healthy. We've seen this rotation, and with Harden coming back, what happens with this rotation and who loses minutes, who keeps playing, because a lot of these guys have been playing well
and have shown that they could be in the rotation.
Shake Milton, who I've questioned for the past couple of years since the playoffs in Disney World, but he's looked a lot better than when he had consistent minutes as a starter in Disney World in the quarantine playoffs. Tobias Harris has played a lot better. Talked about Paul briefly at the beginning. He's finding his spot on offense. Last podcast talked about Niang. A lot of those guys' minutes won't change, but I can see like someone like Shake Milton. I don't want him to go back to being 11 man off the bench, but
Yeah.
how will Doc Rivers and the coaching staff figure that
And I
out?
don't want the ball to stick. And Harden kind of gets into his dribble moves sometimes, and like the guys are standing around watching. Where I think a lot of the success that they've had, and particularly when Joel Embiid was out, was getting everyone involved. Everyone got a touch, and it's different when you go down on the offensive end, and there's a chance you might touch the basketball. Maybe you don't touch it, but you get a touch on the next possession. But you're ready and willing, and you're focused on maybe not getting an offensive rebound or crashing the boards necessarily or getting back on defense, but the chance that you might touch the ball, be able to score or do something with it.
Running some plays, running some motion instead of just the ISO ball at the top of the key or off to the side, and you try to make your defender make a move in your defender to create a shot,
Yeah.
or you dish it off, drive in and dish it out, and it's just guys standing. Maybe that works for some players to get a rhythm. I don't think it works for everybody. We've seen Tobias Harris work at that where he's gotten a lot of better being a catch and shoot 3-point shooter.
And that's the thing with the guys like Niang, where he does fit in
role.
well with that. Hey, if you're injured for over 70 years, Lundy Law has been the #1 personal injury law firm in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Delaware. Their services are exemplary. Their results are exceptional. Call 1-800-LUNDY-LAW to get the money you deserve. And speaking of getting what you deserve, the Sixers are sitting in the 6th seed, I think, right now in the Eastern Conference. So that could be 3-6, the Cavs in the 3rd spot. That could be the matchup in the playoffs.
5th seed.
Oh, 5th seed. Okay.
I guess they have the tiebreaker over the Hawks.
Okay, tiebreaker over the Hawks.
Yeah,
they're
both
the 5th
12
seed.
and 10.
Okay. So are you optimistic if they play Cavs in the playoffs? Is that something could you stomach that? Did you feel like that's a first round matchup they could win?
I feel like it's a first round matchup they could win. That early in the playoffs, the Sixers have the best player on the court.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that goes into it's their advantage.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to see the Sixers team at a full health to see if Shake can continue to do what he has done when James Harden still getting his minutes, as we just talked about the rotation, how things like that work. However, it won't be a walk in the park. It's not going to be an easy four-game sweep or a gentleman's sweep in 5 games. That would be a hard matchup for the Sixers or whoever. That Cavs team is young and they're playing really hard. And Donovan Mitchell, who I used to just think was a volume scorer, and I thought the perception around him would eventually change. Maybe he's becoming a little bit more than that.
I think the thing for me when I look at where the Sixers are is, the Sixers are a team that's getting healthy, but these other teams who are already having great seasons are getting guys back or shoring up what they have. Chris Middleton set to return on Friday. The Bucks have already played well and got off to that great start, and they're getting Middleton back, an all-star. And it'll be interesting to see if he can hit the ground running or how he's incorporated, and a little bit scary for the other teams in the Eastern Conference. And then, strangely enough, our old friend Al Horford just got a 2-year extension for $20 million to stay with the Boston Celtics. What a crate! Like, they wouldn't pay him initially, so he leaves Boston to get $109 million from the Sixers. The Sixers trade him to OKC. OKC releases him. He goes back to Boston, and now he's playing until he's 39 years old. Like,
they clearly know how to use him effectively.
I want to say, well, how come we couldn't use him? Why couldn't the Sixers figure that out? That pains my dad
so much.
Oh my God,
we talked about this so much. Bro, on the pod, off the pod.
He doesn't stop talking about it.
Well, at that point in time, the Sixers are also playing with 3 centers.
And who was the other one? DeAndre?
Who
was
Ben Simmons?
I was thinking, I was like, I know he's not saying Ben.
They were playing with 3 centers out there on the court. And when people said Embiid need to get his butt down on the block and by the basket, he was doing his best to space out the floor a little.
Yeah.
The Celtics, I thought it was just Bradley Stevens. Brad Stevens.
Brad Stevens. Yeah.
Brad. I don't know
I'm
why I
like,
had
oh,
to
I didn't
leave.
know y'all had that kind of relationship. You and Brad Stevens, call him
So
Bradley.
I think at first I thought it was just him finding a way to make Al Horford work once the Sixers got him because he had that nickname of just average Al. But there's something about him playing in Boston or just that franchise and how that organization works that brings out the best of him
They're
when
playing
needed.
incredible.
Like watching him in the finals, he played great when they needed him to. He did everything that was asked of him and needed. It didn't work out here.
Oh, and Robert Williams is coming back for that for them.
Yes, they
So
have some size and some strength. It'll be interesting. Like the Bucks and the Celtics are by far the best two teams in the East right now.
the thing that makes the top like the Celtics and the Bucks so good to me is they have so many interchangeable players, which we've talked about in the past. They can guard multiple positions, but then they have a bunch of guys who can get you a bucket too. And while the Sixers do have that, we just haven't. They don't have the same camaraderie and closeness, and doing it on both ends like the Celtics do. And they don't have that same thing the Bucks have. They have guys who can do it on both ends, and I don't know. I mean, Giannis is a once in a lifetime type of player. You could say the same thing about Jason Tatum. The way he's playing, he's probably the MVP right now. And while Joel Embiid is the once in a lifetime guy, Tyrese Maxey is kind of coming into his own. James Harden's maybe not quite what he used to be. So it's not the same level of awesomeness. You know what I'm saying?
It's not the same level of awesomeness. They have the guys that can guard multiple position, two-way players. You said we talked about that previously.
Mm-hmm.
The Bucks have a guy that can just look around and say, "All right, get on my back. I'm gonna carry y'all to the finish line." And as much as I'm a Joel Embiid fan,
I think he could do that.
He hasn't done
if
it
he's
yet.
healthy.
He hasn't done it yet. Like,
yeah.
and this isn't me
in the
trashing
playoffs,
Embiid.
right?
Like,
you just want
when
to
someone look around, it's like, all right, I'm gonna carry you guys
like
to the finish line.
Missouri, show me.
And 2 years ago, when he had that injury, where we thought like, oh, he's out of the rest of this playoff series, and then he just carried the Bucks to the NBA Finals, then to a championship. He can look around and say, all right, get on my back. And what he did last year without Chris Middleton in the playoffs, it's just phenomenal to watch. So although they have guys that can guard multiple positions, two-way players, get their own shots, they have Giannis.
Man, that what you saying that kind of took all the holiday season's greetings, good vibes away from me. I just the bitter dose of reality, and I don't know if y'all know out there, but I live with a Celtics fan, so I hear it all the time.
Man, that was your choice. No one made you do that.
Oh man, it just so I get it on both ends, so to speak. But I'm feeling like what the Sixers can do, and when they're at their best, they can compete with the top teams in the Eastern Conference. They're going to need some things to go their way. They're going to need a little bit of luck. They're going to need some matchups that favor them. You know what I'm saying? Playing the Pacers and the Hawks, you know what I'm saying, are like those are teams that they can hang with and beat in that opening round. Now, what happens in round two is a different story. And we've been through this ad nauseum over and over again about, them not being able to get past the second round for 20 plus years and all that. But is this the year? I felt like this was the year. Did I feel like it was the year last year? Probably then too. So like
the past couple
it's
years,
like
you felt it.
right. It just makes you like what you're seeing and what actually happens don't correlate. It's like you're not getting the dividends that you're hoping for.
I'm a big prove it guy. Like,
yeah,
I remember I've gotten a lot of flack going saying Mike Trout, great player, doing the playoffs, that type. Like saying that comedically, but it means something when you can do things in big games, big situations. And we talked about it when James Harden got traded here, and big fan of the move because the previous guy was adding nothing to the stat sheet or on the court. But James Harden, he had that reputation. This is another year, another opportunity, but not only for him, for Joel Embiid, for Doc Rivers. After that first round, and not even saying that first round is going to be a walk in the park, don't want to overlook whoever they're playing, but has an opportunity to prove doubters wrong, to shut people up, and advance past the second round, make it to the Eastern Conference Final. And hopefully they can do that, being healthy, guys playing both sides of the ball, keeping the defensive rating going up, Shake Milton continue to contribute, as well as the rest of the guys we mentioned on the last pod.
Hey, we want to remind you that opioid addiction is a national public health crisis. The Someone You Know podcast from the Independence Blue Cross Foundation offers inspiring stories that challenge stigma, offer hope, and humanizes the disease of addiction. Download the new season 3 of Someone You Know on all major podcast platforms. So, not sure what everyone else did out there during the Thanksgiving break, but I pulled up to the theater. We saw the Wakanda movie.
Yeah, I saw that.
And did I get your thoughts on that? Did you?
We talked about it briefly.
Okay.
I enjoyed it. I thought it did a lot for not having to do for carrying a lot.
Yeah.
There's some scenes they probably could have took out to make it a little bit shorter runtime, but I enjoyed it.
Oh, we talked about this not on the pod, but off.
The pod.
Right. Okay. Yeah. And I saw Black Adam, so I liked Wakanda better than Black Adam. So, do you need to go in the theaters and spend the dough on it? Probably could wait till it comes on Disney Plus or whatever, that home streaming platform you can see it on. But I just enjoy the theater experience. This is the first time I had seen a Marvel movie in a non IMAX Dolby Digital setting, and that wasn't fun.
It wasn't fun.
No, I need more louder audio, and I need a crisper picture.
I haven't been to a Dolby theater since moving back to the area.
Yeah,
I went a lot when I lived in DC.
I think AMC
but
does it.
Yeah, they do it. But
Yeah.
something you just popped into my head
What?
Because you talked about Wakanda Forever, and it made me think Victor Oladipo, the dunk contest where he showed up with the Wakanda mask.
Bro, he's not even playing for the Miami Heat.
Then no, he's not.
Yeah.
He showed up with the Wakanda mask. Then it's like, yo, if you do that, like you show up with the Black Panther mask, you got to crush this dunk. Then he didn't, and it was sad.
Well, the year that was the year before he was singing in Brooklyn, New York.
I think that was
York.
after.
Oh, okay.
I think he did the mask.
He wore the tuxedo
after he came out there. He's a showman. I can respect that.
I thought he was a free agent or like a game changer type of pickup that could have swayed the Eastern Conference, pecking order, but he just has not. I don't know what's going on with him, man.
So I know that there was the injury history, but last year when he was playing, and it's believed, do you remember when Jimmy Butler and Eric Spoelstra got into that?
Oh yeah,
argument?
they had that beef.
They had that beef, and Udonis Haslem, who shot a 3-pointer the other day,
he was guarding Jason Tatum too, and that didn't work out well either.
So when they went through all that last year, it's believed that Jimmy likes Victor, and I guess he's the best player on the team, unless you want to go with Bam. So coaches usually listen to what they say, but there's not a good plus minus when Victor's on the floor with Jimmy. So I've read that played a part in that, and maybe that's why Victor's not playing that much this year.
Well, they're not doing well at all, so they got to figure something out. They're definitely a team. I think we looked at the standings before we started. I think they're in 10th right now. But they're definitely a team that you could see moving
11th.
One of their
Well, tie for 10th.
They could definitely make a trade probably that could change the complexion a little bit.
They could. I just don't know if they need to. I still think they're better than the Knicks, the Wizards. That puts them right there in the play-in. I think they would beat the Hawks in the 7 games here.
Okay, but I just don't see any of those play-in type of teams. I don't care who it is that ends
up
there.
So are you talking about making a run?
Well, that's what I'm saying. They could make a trade that improves the roster enough for them to make a run. Well, yeah, Jimmy's hurt. Who knows when he comes back if he's ready to play or how that all works out. All I'm saying, I think they play 2 with the Boston Celtics too, so that's about as humbling. I think Boston scored they definitely scored over 130 points last night. I didn't see the very end of the game, but
134 to 121.
Right. So you can't, unless you're the Doug Moe's Phoenix Suns from back in the day, you're not hanging with a team scoring 130 something points unless you're the Splash Brothers or something like that. So you can expect this next game to be ugly too. But I just don't feel like they are going to be satisfied with this being a kind of a throwaway retool type of season. So,
Pat Riley doesn't believe in rebuilding, retooling. His famous line is we don't rebuild, we reload. So,
well, they have to do something.
We'll see what happens.
Well, like you said, quarter of the way through the season, it's a little bit who you are. You know what I'm saying? So, we'll see how it plays out. But we got one more, a little bit more time here on the Sixers Talk podcast as we're coming to you live from Rivers Casino, Bet Rivers, and pretty full house here at Rivers Casino for the middle of the day. Of course, the World Cup stuff is going on. People here in the sports book area where we're hanging out.
On Tuesday when we had Eagle Eye here,
Yeah.
Dave and Rube are doing the pod live. I don't know if listeners heard it, but you hear a big cheer out there, and
when
that's
Christian Pulisic scored.
Yeah, so that's when USA scored, and we were trying to figure out what happened in here while also still doing the pod, and we put it together. But
how long do they record? Do they go a long period? Their pods are longer than some of the other pods.
They are. They like each other a lot more than you and I like each other. If we're being honest.
Hey, bro, they hold it down after, like, on Sunday night. They both come back to the station to record the pod after the game. Like they're at the station at like 12, 1 o'clock.
For those that don't know, or those that stay up late to listen to those Eagle Eye pods, they'll start recording at 1 o'clock or so. And me and Tom are probably working until like 2:30. It's real late. So that's why I don't know about Tom. That's why I'm never on that Monday morning call, because I'm probably just still sleeping.
It's impressive, man, because they're going at it and they don't look worn out or whatever. And obviously the content is phenomenal because I'm actually a big fan of both of those guys.
Their team gives them a lot more excitement recently too.
Yeah, unfortunately. But you know what is exciting though, and this is something that I'm sure everybody can get involved with, is having a totally tubular 80s New Year's Eve here at Rivers Casino with Morris Day and the time, December 30th. What? Awesome 80s New Year's Eve party, bodacious bonus drawings, and more. Rewind to the 80s at Rivers Casino, Philadelphia. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. So do you feel like you got to dress? I mean, you can experience the 80s and how they deck it out in here, but do you think you got to dress 80s to really be a part of it?
I mean, it's the 80s. I guess not. But if you're going to show up to the 80s party, you can't show up like in the wearing 50s or dressing like today. That's the person that shows up to the Halloween party dressed up as Santa. You don't want to do that.
I want to be comfortable if I'm coming to spend my money though. So if I'm coming to risk my dollars, I'm coming in here to.
I mean, you were a teenager in the 80s. It wasn't comfortable back then?
I was not a teenager.
You wasn't a teenager?
Shut up, man. Yeah, I mean, I feel you. It could be. It'll be fun. It definitely will be fun. Me personally, I will probably try to, maybe a sweatsuit, like a little 80s style sweatsuit.
Yeah, wear the Adidas.
Yeah. RDMC type vibes.
Yeah, so now I got to ask, like, if you weren't a teenager there, how do I have more gray hair than you and I'm significantly younger?
It's just the genes, man,
right.
But you also have more hair, period. So the contrast, if you're just listening but not watching on YouTube or wherever, like Ben has the hair going up and my hair is inside my head. Like it's not, it's just the contrast is funny.
I'm trying to see, is that dye? Tom, you know Danny for a while. Is that dye?
Am I dyeing my beard?
Dyeing his hair? Yeah, I think you're dyeing your beard.
Oh, wow. Okay. No, negative. That's not true. But I appreciate you noticing though. How's the CrossFit stuff going?
I'm getting stronger,
Yeah.
Getting stronger.
Will people say you're a good instructor?
I think people think I'm a decent coach, but they could also be lying to my face. Some people think I have decent takes on the pod.
Is that what is a coach, not an instructor?
Yeah, let's go with a coach. I don't know.
Are you doing the CrossFit Games this year?
I'm not good enough to go to the CrossFit Games.
But you do like compete, right? Yeah.
I want to say I do it to work out.
Yeah.
I do CrossFit to work out. Like,
but you don't do like Spartan Race or Tough Mudder or
I used to.
Stuff?
I haven't done any of those since pre-pandemic. I would consider. I do CrossFit to work out. I'm not a CrossFitter.
Gotcha.
The same way to you or whoever goes play basketball at the local rec center or YMCA is not a baller. They are not getting a contract, let alone a 10-day contract.
Right.
I do it to work out and move my body.
My mom has started volunteering for all of those races, the marathon and stuff like that. So she's like, Dan, you should blah, blah, blah. I know you could. I'm like, I did the Spartan race in 2015, I think, at the Citizens Bank Park. It was fun. I think we talked about that, but it was a good time.
The stadium series are always fun.
Yeah.
But
it was.
If it's during the summer, it's a lot hotter. I don't know. They just like conduct heat in there.
I think it is also very humbling too, because you see what elite looks like at and then you're like, oh, this is me. Like I'm here, but they're over there.
I
So
forget what athlete said it that was being heckled by some fans that was calling some NBA player a bum. He told them, "I'm closer to LeBron James than you are to the worst player in the NBA," and that's just facts.
it caught me off guard. But hey, we appreciate you listening here to the Sixers Talk podcast, brought to you by Wilmington University. WilmU works for Ben Berry. I'm Danny Pommells, our producer Tom Finer, Noah Levick. Feel better, bro. Much love to you and everybody out there who's not feeling well. The coughing and sneezing and sniffling is getting up there. If you're sick, stay home. But everyone feel better out there. And happy December.
Happy December.
Season's
Happy
greetings.
holidays.
Season's greetings. We'll see you next time. Take care.